So let me do this. Okay, I'm sharing it with you again. It's also on LinkedIn as well. And okay.
I see. Got it.
You see it? Perfect.
Yep.
And there's no feedback or anything?
I see the countdown.
Good.
I have it muted. I have the volume all the way down. I'm not sure if we can.
All right.
Oh. My AirPods keep switching over.
All right, I'm all set up on my end. We're gonna start in 5, 4. So, how would you start a startup from scratch? Let's go. Hey everyone, Zen here with another episode of Closed One. This is the noon edition. This is a place where founders learn startup sales while enjoying lunch. Today, we have Cameron Sorsby teaching us how to start a startup. He will share steps on how to start a founder-led sales startup, go from 0 to $1 million in ARR. But first, let me say hello to our new subscribers. Hello, Ridwan, Subima, Animals Cat, Lover's Cat. Wow, welcome. Surya Busal. Let's go India. Yeah, I've never been. I'd love to go to India. Roseli Da Silva, great name. Arifin Safiq, yes. Helen Ogisi, hello, welcome to the channel. Ashley Bradley, Rajput, welcome. The Rock, okay. 127 subscribers. I have to check out your channel. Thank you for subscribing from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And to those of you who are new here, you know what to do.
I tried college for a year, but it simply wasn't preparing me for the plans that I have.
I did look at several graduate schools, but none of them had programs for what I want to do.
I went to 2 different universities. Neither of them worked out. As soon as Praxis came up in my life, immediately I jumped on it.
Praxis is about helping you become a creative problem solver. Our goal in this program is to help you come away understanding what it is that makes you come alive. We place you in dynamic businesses where you're actually creating value, you're doing real work. At the same time, you're completing a rigorous interdisciplinary online curriculum. So you're engaging with big ideas and you're learning how to put them into practice in the real world.
In designing the Praxis curriculum, we begin by taking a look at the lives of actual entrepreneurs and asking them what aspects of their education were most essential in their professional success. Then we took a look at the lives of college graduates and we asked them what were the things they wish they learned in school that would have made their lives easier.
The concept behind it is very entrepreneurial. And so to be able to bring a Praxis participant into Advantage and let them literally be in the business of helping other entrepreneurs, it's fantastic. It's a home run.
I just want to make places better and help people be connected, and the way that I want to do that is through design. The only way to gain experience with that is through experience out in the field.
I'm working at Advantage Media Group in Charleston, South Carolina. My role is business development consultant, a job where I'm creating very real value for this company.
We're not just creating options in education. We're helping people see the choices available to them in life.
We believe that philosophy, economics, history, a solid liberal arts education is essential to the kind of creative intelligence that's necessary to become an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurs make the world better for everybody. I'm out there in the real world applying what I'm learning.
The opportunity to work in a small business and get the feel of what it's actually like to be an entrepreneur was very appealing to me, because that's something I see in my future career.
Even though I've already graduated college, Praxis is going to help me get started on becoming a lifelong learner.
Praxis puts it all together in a way that no traditional internship possibly could.
This job isn't a resume builder, it's an experience builder.
You know, I don't think that we create entrepreneurs, but I think that we unleash the entrepreneurial spirit that's inside everyone.
We're pioneers of the inevitable. I don't think we're creating something new as much as we're honestly acknowledging the direction in which the world is moving, and we're preparing people for that world.
Every year, 1.2 million students drop out of school, which is 7,000 dropouts every day. Think about that. One dropout every 26 seconds. Today, we have a man who is turning this problem into a solution. Please help me welcome the CEO of Praxis, Cameron Sorsby. Welcome.
How you doing, Zen?
I'm doing well. Finally, we meet. This is the first time. We've been emailing each other for over 2 years, I think, or 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that is insane. Actually, we hired someone from Praxis, Justin King. I'm not sure that if you remember him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Okay, so let's get started with the journey. Tell us about Cameron. Where was he born, and where did you find this entrepreneurial drive?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in New Jersey, and growing up, this is connected to how I kind of got involved in Praxis down the road. But growing up, I was the kid through, middle school, high school. I was super intellectually curious. I'd love to learn, but I never really jived with the typical classroom environment. And at the same time, I loved playing sports. I was super competitive. I wanted to be playing sports or reading books of my choosing rather than being in 90% of my classes and stuff. And when I got into high school, especially in, junior, senior year, you start thinking about your future. Once it became clear my childhood dreams of becoming a professional soccer player weren't going to go the way I wanted them to, it's like, oh man, I got to figure out what I'm actually going to do as an adult. And I just remember going through those late years of high school, early years of college, and just feeling pretty lost. And I remember having that existential dread of I can't even imagine what I could do for my career in my professional life as an adult. And I think, in hindsight, looking back on that, it was because I wasn't exposed to a lot of different kind of career paths and different types of professionals and everything. And, growing up, I never considered myself to be particularly entrepreneurial. And, long story short, about halfway through college, that's when I had a big mindset shift in starting to, I realized internally that college itself, the classroom experience, was not going to help me get the answers I needed on what direction to start my career in. And I finally just said to myself hey, I need to figure this out on my own, and I need to start taking responsibility for that. So I just stopped trying to plan out what am I supposed to do in 10 years or 20 years from now, and create that perfect path, and just started following my interests and figuring out ways how I could get involved, in things that I thought I was interested in, and just running a series of experiments outside the classroom. So I started working a lot more, getting internships. I started, getting involved in not just student groups, but, I guess professional networks and everything. And eventually I found my way to interning with Isaac Morehouse, who was, featured in that video. He's the founder of Praxis. I was interning with Isaac before he started Praxis for my senior year of college. And when I was probably the third or fourth person he talked about the business model and the idea behind Praxis. And because of my own experience with education, it immediately resonated with me. And I realized hey, this is something I want to be involved in some way, somehow. If there's anything I can do to help get this business off the ground, I want to do it. And eventually, after I graduated college, I put my money where my mouth is, and I joined the program as one of the very first participants, went through the program. For me, it was like an entrepreneurial MBA, alternative, essentially. And shortly after I went through the program myself, I joined the team as the third employee, and have been working on Praxis ever since then. And then, 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to kind of take the reins over from Isaac and become CEO.
Wow, what a journey. From a soccer player all the way to the CEO of Praxis. I know that feeling that you're talking about, this feeling of void. After college, I had no idea what I was going to do either, because none of the classes really prepared me for the real world. I thought I was going to do waitressing, to be honest with you. I was like, maybe I should apply to a restaurant. Thank God for Yelp. So talk about this journey, this transition that you had. This is so interesting. So you're starting your startup with the founder of Praxis, and then you're the first employee. How did you become the CEO?
So I was super, so again, like I mentioned, I never really saw myself being involved in startups growing up. One, I had no idea what that term meant, or probably ever heard of it growing up back then. But I never saw myself as I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be involved in starting new businesses. I probably thought more about going into law or becoming a teacher more than anything else. And at some later in my college years, that's when I started studying economics on my own, and how markets work, and the role of the entrepreneur in a free market, etc. And that's how I kind of, that initial interest in entrepreneurship really sparked. And from there, and that it kind of intellectual interest at first in entrepreneurship, paired with knowing Isaac, working with him, and then him starting this new venture that was personally important to me. Those two things combined, I feel that was kind of what made me take the leap into a more entrepreneurial career path. And I joined Praxis, less than a year from the company starting. Went through the program, joined as the second or third employee, and in the first couple years working on the team, it was the most valuable learning experience I could ever ask for, because we were a team of 5 and 6, and all of us were just doing a little bit of everything, whatever it took to make sure our customers had an amazing experience through the program, doing what we could to keep growing the program, making sure the operations of the company were running smoothly and stuff. And I think in particular, I gravitated towards not just specializing in one area, but just kind of being involved in all the different areas of the business. And I think naturally over time, I looked up and I realized hey, other than Isaac, the founder and CEO, I kind of have the most knowledge of the business as a whole. And I think, I learned so much just by trying different things. I would have never predicted I would be working like in sales, but I just naturally gravitated first to like talking to prospective participants of the program and, you know, trying to understand like what makes them tick and if they would be a good fit for Praxis, if Praxis would be a good fit for them. And it didn't feel like sales at the time, but looking back, like, yeah, it was relationship building and trying to, you know, find the right people that would make great customers and bring them into the program. And then I kind of did that on the company side, like reaching out to companies to hire our participants and everything. And I was honestly like, most of the areas that I feel like I've really grown in through that experience in the early stages of the company, it was never like something like, oh yeah, I feel super comfortable and excited to jump into this. Like, it was a little bit like, hey, this is going to get me out of my comfort zone. But my mindset was like, I'm willing to do anything that is going to help our company in the long term. And I think the one thing I'll give myself credit for from the get-go is like, I think I kind of naturally took to like the owner mindset of like, hey, like if you're an employee at an early stage startup, you know, you should really, you know, be treating it as if you're the owner of the business, of the startup. And I think I took to that naturally.
Oh, I love it. The first thing that you said is, you know, it didn't really feel like sales. It was mostly relationship building. And that's really what sales is, isn't it? It's relationship building at every level. I like that a lot. And how you grew into the role because you took ownership. And you weren't expecting anything, were you? You just like, let me own this. Let me get out of my comfort zone. Not many people have that kind of mindset. Could you give us some tips? So if you were to talk to yourself from 2 years ago, what are some tips that you would give yourself, your younger self, on how to grow from 0 to 1 million in ARR?
Yeah, I think the most valuable, like, I look at myself, Zen, and like, I think I'm fairly good at a lot of different things, but I don't think I'm great in one specific area. But one thing more like as an intangible soft skill, I think I've been very persistent and like combining patience of like, hey, I don't expect, you know, us to go from, you know, 0 to 1 million in revenue or hit certain growth metrics or, you know, build an empire of a company overnight. I expect, you know, things to take time, and I'm willing to buy into that process to get to where we want to be. And I think, you know, starting out with Praxis, I was very naive and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed of like, oh, you know, we're here now. In 3 years, we're going to be 10x, 20x, you know, growth. And it's like, this is the best idea ever. How could it, you know, not be a tremendous success, you know, no matter what? Like, we just have to give it the time it needs. And now I understand just like the ups and downs, and, you know, it's not a linear path to growth or linear path to success. And I think the biggest thing I would tell myself from a few years ago is just be ready for that journey and make sure that you're putting yourself, like, the biggest mindset shift I had when I stepped into the CEO position, it immediately forced me into a longer term, you know, timeline. Like, I took the position knowing like this is what I wanted to do for the next 10 years plus. And so the day-to-day challenges are much easier to go through. I think it's easier for me to not get overwhelmed or stressed or, you know, those feelings of burnout, knowing that like I understand what actually matters at the end of the day. I think my personal perspective is more aligned with, you know, the long-term future of the company.
Oh, I love it. You gave us a lot, actually. All right, I'm going to break it down. So the first was definitely combine patience with persistence. Great things take a lot of time. personally believe in the vision. Don't expect this linear growth, right? It's startups are like roller coasters. And tackle the day-to-day challenges. Don't look at it from the 10-year perspective. Day to day, so you don't burn out. This is great. Okay, let's talk about this founder-led sales approach. I think this is a very cool topic, and what I mean by that is, as the CEO, you're doing sales as well, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Tell us about this process. How do you train your team to do what you're doing, or what kind of processes do you put together, and how does that fit into the culture at Praxis as a startup?
Sure. So right now I actually do a lot on the sales side, on the participant side, when we're recruiting new participants to the program and stuff. Myself and my business partner and our COO, we kind of tag team pretty much all of the like one-on-one sales work and stuff. And we're actually just about to bring in like a full-time sales professional. So we're about to go through this experience of training someone from the ground up. And we've had different team members in, more of a sales capacity over the years, but I definitely think, I'm very excited and very optimistic that the person we're bringing in is going to be able to do even more than we're capable of, because Mitchell and I are also working on other aspects of the business at any given time. But I think it's natural for me to question, like, hey, is this person going to be as fired up, as excited, be able to communicate like the vision for the program as much as, I am, because, it feels like it's in my DNA at this point. And I think the challenge there is you have to, like, I look at it as I have to build a system so that this person can be more successful than I am, knowing that they aren't the owner, they haven't been involved in the business for 7-8 years, etc. And that's part of business building. Like you can't rely on founder-led sales forever, but I think what's been helpful is not being afraid to be in the weeds on sales over the past year or two, because it's really helped clarify the vision for the product or the program we're running, and what direction we want to take like product development in, as well as like, okay, like how do you actually kind of systematize what we do. And I think the biggest challenge now, typically for founder-led sales teams, is making sure like your sales success is not being based off of like the cult of personality of you as a founder, but that absolutely is it's an advantage early on, because no one should be as excited and as passionate and able to communicate, the value and the vision of your company as you are. But you have to be, it's a balancing act of making sure that at some point you're able to scale out of just, your individual personality.
Yeah. So now that you're hiring for a new sales role, what is your plan? What are you going to be focusing on?
So a couple major things. One is top of funnel growth. So just like figuring out like, okay, we're replacing ourselves on the sales side. Now that allows myself and our COO to start focusing more of our time on just scaling up the marketing side of things and making sure we're able to, predictably bring in quality applicants into the funnel essentially. And, secondly, I would say is over the next year, we want to take a major leap in the overall like program experience, curriculum development, taking a big leap. Essentially it comes down to our version of, it's a non-software product development approach, essentially, where, hey, the program works great right now. Like our participants come out of the program with awesome outcomes, awesome job opportunities. We have a lot of loyalty, but we also have to, keep improving the program. So, we do a little over 100 participants going through the program a year right now, and we have more ambitious growth goals for the next 3 to 4 years. We want to get to 400, 500 participants, and we're fortunately in a great time where more people are looking at college alternatives. So I think we have a great opportunity there. But the program needs to be ready for that. And the program also needs to be a driver of growth as well.
Nice. That is from 100 to 4 to 500 participants. Is that the goal for the next?
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal. And if it takes 3 to 4 years, great. If it takes longer, no problem. Like I think that's like the natural next stage of the program.
What are the like tech stack that you used to get your first 10 clients?
Ooh, first 10, I mean, everything was super simple. I think we were working out of Google Drive with spreadsheets. We had in the this was back in 2013, 2014. We weren't even on WordPress yet on our website. Like we had some custom built website that was like in full control from our contracted developer. So anytime we wanted to make a change to the website, we had to, pay them, and, as contractors, everything that was kind of a pain. And then like as a team, we were just using email and Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie app. Like
yeah, I remember.
Slack. Yeah,
I remember
actually still use
yeah,
Voxer
they still have it. Yeah,
for like personal stuff. I love it, but yeah, now it's like we have Slack, we have Salesforce. We have other. Like I feel like we probably have 20 different tech subscriptions related to God knows what on the marketing side. It feels like I turn around for a minute and then it's like you have 50 software subscriptions going. It's like, what is all this for? This is crazy. But it's very different now compared to the early days of the company.
Yeah. So tell me about this Salesforce move. How many clients did you have until you said, okay, we have a pretty good leads list. We need to start managing these folks. How many clients did you have at that point when you're like, okay, we need to get Salesforce? This is becoming unmanageable on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, we made the move to Salesforce. That was late 2016. So about our third year of actually running the program. And we were on our way. We were probably around 40 to 50 participants on an annual basis, but that was like our first big growth spurt. So we were well on our way to doing around 100 a year. And we were specifically planning to put the systems in place, for 2-3x growth of what we had and stuff. And that was, I think overall it was a good time to do it. Maybe we could have held off for 6 more months, but I don't think it would have helped really, other than just like kicking the can down the road and having to, figure out Salesforce and everything. And there was some minor pain points of, we had team members that were just, used to working out of very simple spreadsheets and, not always like more focused on, hey, like I had a great sales call. That's what's important. I feel good this person's going to apply. I have it in my head, or I have it down in like email notes to follow up with them. And that transition, just to kind of create internal best practices of like, no, absolutely everything has to be tracked in Salesforce. If we're going to use it, we have to use it the right way. I remember that being a big part of the transition.
Yeah. Speaking of clients, are you allowed to, are you under NDA to mention a few clients that you currently work with? Just to name drop a few
companies and stuff.
Companies that
yeah, sure. I mean, our most successful company, we've worked with them for coming up on 4 years now, is PandaDoc, who they just had exciting news that they announced this week. With they raised their Series C and are valued at $1 billion now. So congrats to them on unicorn status. And we started placing participants there late 2016. So I guess we're coming up on 5 years, which is hard to believe, but we're around like 35 coming up on 40 hires through, at PandaDoc. And
Wow.
mostly
40?
on close.
Wow.
We're closing in on 40. I know it's right around 35 now. And kudos to them, because probably all but 3 or 4 are still working at the company today.
Mhm.
So they've been able to not just provide a great, apprenticeship experience to our participants for the 6-month time period, but clearly they've been able to retain and help our talent grow over time. And it's like the prime example of what we look for in a hiring partner these days.
Yes, I can testify to this because I was at PandaDoc in 2016, and Luke and Olivia, they started off as an SDR, a sales development rep. And today, I believe Olivia is the director of sales or director of sales development rep.
Customer success or account
Customer success.
management.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I just saw that trajectory, and she worked so hard. And she was one of the few that would always come up to me trying to learn as much as possible. And she just crushed it. Like, she totally
Yeah.
crushed it. So that definitely, the training from Praxis, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. I'm very, very proud of Praxis. I love this education style of just doing it, learning from doing.
Right.
And don't give me the textbook, please. Like, this is the 21st century. I want to learn by doing. And so that's why I'm such a big fan of Praxis. Before I ask my last question, where can we find you?
discoverpraxis.com. That's the best place to check out all information about the program. If you're a company looking to hire, really strong, high quality entry level talent, sales, marketing, customer success, etc., check us out. If you're interested in the program yourself, you can schedule an info call or download our program guide, etc. And then myself, I'm probably most active on Twitter these days. So it's just at Cameron Sorsby.
There you go. So tell us, Cameron, how does Cameron close deals?
So, like I mentioned earlier, Zen, like I've never really felt like I have like that natural sales personality, and I really try to take the position of like, hey, I'm here to help you figure out like, is this the best fit for you? And if I can play a more of like an advisor mentor role to applicants, and even to the companies that are looking to hire through our program, it's just about figuring out like, hey, this is what we offer, this is who we work best with. If you feel like that's you, then you potentially could be a great fit for us.
Oh, how refreshing. What a great answer. I just have to recap this. I love it a lot because Cameron's style of closing is he's basically saying, hey, let me figure out if this is a fit by being an advisor and a mentor. Like, this is amazing, right? Sales is not all about closing deals. This is about helping you figure out, hey, are we a fit? And if we're not, maybe go somewhere else, right? Go to college. So I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. I'm definitely going to break this down and share it with our LinkedIn community. And so, do you have any final words to make this feel complete for you?
That's all. If you're interested in college alternative, check out Praxis. And if you're interested in hiring the best young talent, then come to Praxis as well.
Yes, discoverpraxis.com. There you have it. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, keep on closing. Peace.